Sometimes we are asking who is the strongest chess player ever, and sometimes we don't have answer. Maybe Magnus Carlsen or Garry Kasparov. And I am happy to show you this game. It's a game between Magnus Carlsen playing with white pieces and Garry Kasparov playing with black pieces. This game was played on 2004 in Reykjavik and it's only a rapid game. The game begins with a Slav defense, and after move e6, it's a semi-Slav. Magnus played bishop g5, and he is going to pin the knight. White first developed his bishop to later play move e3, and this way the bishop is outside of the chain of the pawns and not inside. That's a more active and more aggressive move. Knight d7, Kasparov decided to play the Cambridge Springs variation, and now black played queen a5. That's the first possible tactical threat, because just imagine that maybe bishop on g5 used to be under attack later on. So Magnus played knight d2, and he's trying to take care about black's threats. Bishop b4, and Garry Kasparov used to be more aggressive since beginning of this game. Now his threat is to take knight on c3 and maybe to win a pawn on c3. So Magnus played queen c2, and he's trying to cover his knight on c3, and here Garry Kasparov played move e5. Of course, this move is good for black because Garry is going to open his bishop. And what I love in Garry Kasparov's games is how he's working with his pieces, how he's doing his best to place his pieces to great squares, because he believes that the most important chess principle is activity. And step by step, move by move, Garry is working with his pieces. Short castle. Magnus decided to castle, which is the most popular move here. Maybe bishop f6, knight f6, and knight e4. I believe that black is absolutely okay, and white doesn't have advantage. So why to play this position and why not to go for short castle? And now knight b3, winning an important tempo, attacking the queen, and that's a good move. You know, mistake is to take on d4, and because this is a mistake, Magnus of course is not a weak player, so I'm going to show you why this move is a mistake. Say bishop now is under attack, bishop f6, knight c4, and queen c7, bishop e7, and because of good pawn black's formation, I believe that pawn on d4 is the biggest white's weakness. Black is absolutely okay, or maybe say black's got slight advantage. Two bishops, good pawns, and I don't see any compensation for white's pawn structure. Okay, so Magnus played knight b3, and if you're playing Slav defense, it's good to remember this move. And now he took on d4. Maybe it's not bad to take by a knight, but of course Magnus decided to take by a pawn, and this happened. Exchange on c4, and here a5. This is a common strategy in the middle game, to advance the rook pawn to gain space and restrict your opponent's pieces. Of course, now knight on b3 is under attack, and Magnus played a4. Stop black from moving the pawn forward, and Garry played queen c7. At this point, both sides have their pluses and losses. For example, white has pretty active piece and his rook are connected, and black has a stable square on b4 and remains pretty solid. That's good to be solid, of course. So h6, and now bishop d6. Maybe it was not bad to play knight b6, later on knight d5, because what I believe that the knight on d7 is the worst black's piece, and makes sense to improve this piece. So bishop d6 happened, and now h3, knight b6 right now. So black must get rid of the bishop on c4, but the problem for black here is that this moves seems to be a bit late. As you are about to see, this complication favor white. So bishop f6 and knight c4. This move was forced. Knight e4 and bishop h2. Okay, now knight d6 used to be a mistake, but knight b6 was very difficult to calculate. So knight d6 happened, and now let's go for complications, and let's see a really interesting position. Magnus took on h2, played bishop e5 and knight d6. After 22 moves, the young Magnus Carlsen managed to get a better position against great Garry Kasparov. So let's speak about this position. I think that white's pieces are more active, more danger, and of course Garry Kasparov has to defend his position. Maybe you know that Garry Kasparov used to be teacher of Magnus Carlsen, so this game is the game between a student and a teacher. So queen c5 happened. Maybe d5 used to be stronger, because of course if you have advantage, if you have stronger pieces, more activity, it's good to open a position, and maybe here knight d4 with the deadly threat knight b5, and I believe that here Garry Kasparov is nearly lost. Okay, it's sadly that Magnus Carlsen missed this chance and played queen c5. Of course, it's a good lucky move because knight on d6 is pinned. Now rook d8 and d5. Again, this move is coming too late. Queen d7 and knight d4. Now the same moves doesn't have the same effect than before, because Garry played knight f5, exchange on c6 and knight c6. Okay, still Magnus Carlsen has advantage, even he was not able to find the strongest move on the board. It's nice to follow this game because Magnus Carlsen is playing for victory against the great Magnus Carlsen. I am enjoying this game, and I believe that you enjoying this game as well. And if yes, just feel free and press like or press follow, and made my day. Let's come back because Garry played rook e8 and rook d1. So Magnus is going to attack black's queen, and now rook e1. It's good looking move, but it's not as stronger. The best here used to be bishop c7. That was the stronger move, and now maybe knight d8. And this is a horrible, terrible double attack against two black pieces. Such hard moves are there, but don't blame Magnus Carlsen, because Magnus played rook e1 and now bishop b7. Now the bishops attack the knight, and this knight has to go back. So knight d4, exchange, and queen g6. Garry Kasparov is back in the game, and he is going for counter-attack, and he is going to attack pawn on g2. So Magnus Carlsen decided to go for this queen exchange, and I think that this position is nearly dead draw. Two rooks against two rooks, and light squares bishops against dark squares bishop. It's hard to believe that here Magnus or Garry has a chances to win this game. But finally, I believe that we saw interesting game where both players played for more than draw, and Magnus Carlsen proved that he's super strong, super talented, and at the end Garry Kasparov proved that he's the chess legend. Of course, I am not speaking who is the stronger. I am happy that this game at the end is a draw, and no one is winner, no one is loser, because I believe that that's a fair result of this game. Magnus played well, missed chances. Garry Kasparov came for counter-attack, and at the end, I think a draw is the fair result. what do you think about this game? Maybe what do you think about Magnus Carlsen or Garry Kasparov? I believe that both players are great. They are legends, and it was nice to follow this game between two chess legends and a game between Magnus Carlsen and Garry Kasparov. I hope that you enjoy this game. If yes, just feel free and press like or press follow and made my day. See you. Take care. Bye bye.